Jews suffering the highest percentage of any group.
Incidents, hate crimes, as well as white supremacist activity.
Hate speech is protected speech. It means that anti-Semites and anti-Black racists and anyone who wishes to bring down any group through the most vile, vitriolic, awful words is protected by our Constitution and our laws.
Anti-Semitism isn't a new thing. It's been around for thousands of years.
In the 1800s, eugenics started in the United States and Europe. Part of eugenics was anti-Black racism, and part of eugenics was scientific anti-Semitism.
Hitler's reasoning for the Holocaust was based in eugenics, that some people were genetically, quote, better than others. This theory resulted in deaths of millions, demonstrating how hateful words escalate into violence. In March of 1977, the Rudolf Hess bookstore, a neo-Nazi bookstore named after one of Hitler's subordinates, opened in a San Francisco neighborhood consisting primarily of Holocaust survivors and their children. Right across the street from the local bar, only a block away from the local synagogue, the Temple B'nai Yama. After only a week, locals gathered together to say no more, fueled by the hate and fear their loved ones had to endure, and the hate spread by the store's existence. They broke in and burned the place down, leaving nothing but rubble and ash.
I grabbed a rock, throw in the window, and then my husband kicked the window. And then people start to see what goes on. They came more and more.
Despite this and other incidents, America was widely accepted at the time as an exceptional place for Jewish people.
Unfortunately, in the last 6 or 7 years especially, the rise of anti-Semitism in the United States has really challenged the idea that the United States was as good as so many of us in the American Jewish community thought. In Pittsburgh and then in Poway, we have had right-wing nationalist anti-Semites kill Jewish people while they prayed.
On August 11, 2017, several alt-right groups brought together via internet forums showed up at the University of Virginia to, quote, unite the right. Hundreds of people paraded around the UVA campus in polo shirts and MAGA hats, wielding Confederate flags and tiki torches while chanting "Blood and soil" and "Jews will not replace us." When the mob of neo-Nazis were confronted by a group of protesters, mostly students, the situation quickly turned violent.
2 people have been injured in an altercation with protesters who are out in force over the planned removal of a Confederate statue. Watch this.
Yet again demonstrating the ease of slipping from hateful words to violent actions.
The Anti-Defamation League and other Jewish organizations have cited astronomical increases in the rates of anti-Semitism in the last 8 to 10 years, and especially in the last few years. Since the Israel-Gaza war has started, there has been a nearly 400% increase in domestic anti-Semitism.
Officers responded to the scene and found a menorah that had been vandalized. This incident is being investigated as a hate crime.
That in fewer than 30 days. On the college campus where I work, the Anti-Defamation League has noted 59 separate instances of violence directed at Jewish students as a consequence of Israel's declaration of war against Hamas after its terrorist attack on Israeli soil. In the United States, according to our legal system, hate speech is protected speech. That's the bad news. The good news is that we have the right to dissent. We have the right to speak against those kinds of words, and we need to do that to be upstanders rather than bystanders each and every time.
However, there is only so much individual people can do. In most instances, a person who spreads hate speech will go unpunished, even if that hate speech is encouraging violence. However, if the victim of this speech responds similarly to the situation with the Rudolf Hess bookstore, they can be punished instead. In order to make a permanent and effective change, There needs to be a law against any kind of hate speech.
The law breaks down when hate speech becomes threatening. There is a legal definition of what constitutes a threat, but the moment that line is crossed, then law enforcement does have the ability to intervene and to stop that speech for fear that it will result in an imminent threat of physical violence against a person in a persecuted minority group.
We need to change how we define hate speech. Time and time again, cruel words and ideas have spread hate and increasingly lead to violence. Hate speech is threatening speech. So long as it's protected, it will only lead to more violence. We need to make it illegal to campaign a message of hateful violence. We need a world where the hateful are powerless and silent.